Class 2. Today we are going to be carrying on with learning how to multiply through repeated addition. So let's have a look at our learning objectives and success criteria. So our learning objective today is to know how to multiply through repeated addition, and our success criteria are 1. I can identify key information in a word problem. 2. I can solve a repeated addition, and 3. I can turn the repeated addition into a multiplication. So, as our success criteria have told us, we are going to be solving word problems today. So, I have got some of the word problems that we will be solving here to show you what we're going to be doing. So, I am going to pick a question and then I'm going to answer it. Now, the first question we're going to do isn't actually on this. It's going to be from a worked example I have created to upload to help you. So, the question that I chose was, there are 3 bags of apples. Each bag has 10 apples. How many apples are there? So step 1 is to pick out the key information, and you can see I've done that here, but I'm going to go through that with you now. So there are 3 bags of apples, and each bag has 10 apples. So if I think about it in grouping, there would have been 3 groups, because we've got bags, 3 groups of apples, and in each group there would have been 10 apples. So what I did is I wrote down 3 bags of 10 apples, or 3 groups of 10. So that was my starting point. That helped me pick out the key information. So I know that I needed to find 3 groups of 10. So step 2 was to turn that information into a repeated addition. Well, 3 groups of 10, that's 3 lots of the number 10. So that would be 10, add 10, add 10. Step 3. Answer the repeated addition using your knowledge of counting in multiples of 10. So, we're going to go 10, 20, 30. So that is my answer to my repeated addition. Okay, so now I need to look at step 4. Step 4 is turn the repeated addition into a multiplication. Well, we did this yesterday. We looked at doing this yesterday, and we said that if we had a repeated addition like this, that would be 1, 2, 3 times the amount, the number 10. So 3 times the number 10 would be my multiplication. Now, my final step, step 5, is to answer the multiplication. So I need to answer this multiplication, and actually I already know the answer because I've answered the repeated addition, and the multiplication is the same as the repeated addition. It's just written differently. So my answer for the multiplication of 3 times 10 would also be 30. So I have answered my question. Now, what I want us to do is I'd love for you to go and grab a piece of paper or a whiteboard, whatever you've got with you. Go and grab that, pause the video now, grab that, and then come back, and we're going to work through a question together before I send you off to answer the questions yourself. Okay, so the question we're going to answer is, we're going to answer this top one here. There are 6 packets of candles. Each packet has 5 candles. How many candles are there in total? So what I want you to do is have a think. What is the key information we need to pick out here? If you know it, write it down. Okay, so there are 6 packets of candles. 6 packets. Well, packets, that's like groups, isn't it? Packets of candles. And in each packet there is 5 candles. So I know there's 6 groups of 5. Because there's 6 packets of candles and each packet has 5 candles. So 6 groups of 5. Now, that is step 1. What was step 2? Let me have a look back at my worked example. Step 2, turn the key information into repeated addition. Okay, what I want you to do now is I want you to have a go at turning this piece of information into repeated addition. Do you think you can do that? Okay, so hopefully you've had a go at turning the information into a repeated addition. What would our repeated addition be? We've got 6 groups of 5, so that would be 5, add 5, add 5, add 5, add 5, add 5. And let me just check that I have got 6 lots of the number 5 here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have got 6 lots of 5 because my repeated addition is going to be 6 lots of the number 5. Okay, so I have written my repeated addition. What is the next step? Step 3, answer the repeated addition using your knowledge of counting in multiples. Okay, pause the video and give that a go. Try and count in multiples to answer this repeated addition. Okay, now hopefully you've had a go at that. Let's try it together and see if we get the same answer. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. Our answer for the repeated addition is 30. Okay, so we've answered the repeated addition and that was step 3. Step 4 is to turn the repeated addition into a multiplication. Okay, if you want to pause the video and have a go at turning the repeated into a multiplication, give that a go now and then we'll try together. Okay, so I need to turn this into a multiplication. Well, I know there are 6 lots of the number 5. So there's 6 times the number 5. 6 times 5. 6 times 5 is my multiplication because we've got 6 groups of 5 or 6 times the number 5. So I've written my repeated addition and I've written my multiplication. What is the final thing I need to do? Can anybody tell me? Yeah, my final step is to answer the multiplication. And what would the answer to our multiplication be? That's right, it would be 30 because we have already found the answer to our multiplication when we did our repeated addition. So you will have answered the first question, which was there are 6 packets of candles. Each packet has 5 candles. How many candles are there in total? You've just answered that question, so well done. What I want you to do now is I want you to go and have a go at the other questions. Don't worry if you don't answer them all, just try your best. You can use the worked example that I have posted on the page to help you. And if you're really struggling, come back and join in with this video again and we'll go through the steps together again. Once you've done all of that, please come and have a look at the learning objectives and success criteria and see whether you think you've met them. So our learning objective today was to know how to multiply it through repeated addition. And our success criteria were I can identify key information in a word problem. So that was the information that we picked out to know what we needed to do for our repeated addition. Number 2, I can solve a repeated addition. So this was our key information. This was us solving our repeated addition. And number 3, I can turn the repeated addition into a multiplication. And that was our final step. And remember, it was very important that we wrote our repeated addition and our multiplication and we answered both. I will see you in tomorrow's lesson.